We are live 364 days a year. What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I've told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get sushi after Monday Night Raw?
Good evening from Swansea, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and of course, it is a Sunday, which means it's a Sunday fun day here on Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. And today, we're bringing back the game show, Wrestling Heaven, Hell, and Purgatory. But more in that in just a moment. Before we do, I've got to introduce the contestants on today's show, and let's kick things off over in LA with Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I'm fired up to be here. I may be south of LA, but either or, I'm in SoCal. That's not the point. It's neither here nor there. Sorry, Josh couldn't make it. I was sorry you couldn't make it either. Happy Father's Day, though, Josh. I know you're probably a pet father of some sort, so I hope you have a good one. But I'm excited. It's Sunday Fun Day, Ben. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. I knew me saying LA would get that reaction out of you right there. But also joining us from England, we have David. I'm only joking. From Wales, we have David. How are you?
Sorry for podcast listeners, the word England just got thrown around. I may be in England, but that is...
Oh, you actually are. I was right.
I am currently still in England. But back to Wales very soon. But no, very, very excited to be here today to do Wrestling Heaven, Hell, and Purgatory. I have some very interesting takes from around the wrestling world that I am very, very excited to put forth. And I will, of course, make better arguments than my opponents because I am me. Let's get into it.
Of course, David, a big lover of Sunday Fun Day here at Wrestling Republic. He made it all the way to the final a couple of weeks ago of the King and Queen of the Quiz tournament, but in the end, Kobe reigned supreme. Also joining us today, we have Dez. How are you, Dez?
I'm doing good, guys. Thank you guys so much for having me on there. Happy Christian Cage Day to anybody who celebrates. And to all the other fathers out there, thank you for all you do. It's time for Heaven, Hell, and Purgatory. I'm locked in. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. It is Christian Cage Day. Everybody go over to Twitter, X, whatever application you prefer to use, and make sure you go and share your support for him on this fine day. We got quite a few comments here. Fernando saying that he is pumped for this show. Roundhead saying good evening. Bobby Petito saying what's up, everybody. And Josh apologizing for not being able to make it to the show Father's Day festivities.
Go and have a good Father's Day, Josh. I'm happy to be here to talk instead. Now, enjoy. Happy Father's Day to all.
Yeah, before I get myself in trouble, happy Father's Day to my dad.
Happy Father's Day to my dad. I forgot
to say that in my intro. Happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you.
Happy Father's Day to my father, and of course, everyone's father, Christian Cage.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Arguably more importantly, Christian Cage. I'm only joking, Dad. I'm only joking. But let's now explain the rules in case you guys have not watched this game show, whatever you want to call it before. Basically, the contestants argue something that they want to send to Wrestling Heaven, and then I choose the winner. Then the same for Wrestling Hell, so something bad, and then the same for Wrestling Purgatory, which is something to improve. So basically, something good, something bad, and then something to improve throughout the show. I'm going to choose the winners for each round, and if it's a tie at the end of round 3, well, then we go to sudden death overtime, where I just pick a topic, and they've got to give me something they hate or love about it. We'll get onto that if and when it happens, but up first, Clark, kick us off. What do you want to send to Wrestling Heaven?
This is kind of an interesting one, but I want to send the smaller stage for the entrance ramp to open up more seats to Wrestling Heaven. I just attended Money in the Bank, and we sat right above the entrance ramp. It was one of the coolest views from a seat I've ever sat in at pro wrestling. We're eye level with the briefcases. It was cool to see that angle of the entrances. You watch the way the cameras get set up, and they film as the wrestlers make their entrance, walk in, the pyro, all of that. It's a cool angle to sit at. It opens up more seats for more fans to attend. And I just think it's really cool. I thought the Jumbotron was fine, but not as good as the extra seats and the great view. The great view. Like it's just a cool spot to take in a pro wrestling show. So I'm going to go with the smaller stage.
Wow, okay. And that's something which I feel like not many people talk about as well. But of course, you were at Money in the Bank. And if I'm right, you were above the stage there, right?
Yes. It's one of my favorite seats I've ever sat in for wrestling. And like I was saying before, eye height with the briefcases and getting to see the opening pyro from that angle, as well as the pyro during the entrances, the way that the camera people set up to film the entrances was fascinating to me. You don't get to see that on TV from that side of it, right? I think it's really cool, and I think it's awesome because it's an extra, at least at Intuit Dome specifically with the wall, the way it's set up, it's thousands of extra seats.
Yeah,
with
that
a
is
really
true.
good viewing experience.
I will say though, right, like when, let's say, early to late 2000s to actually, I think even early 2010s, the one thing I really miss when I go back and watch those shows is those really cool stages. And because of these small stages, they can't really do that.
Focus on Mania nowadays, I think, with the really cool stages. And the other problem is the really cool stages are really expensive. So it saves money and makes money at the same time. So it's good for all parties, right? You get more people in the building with a good view, and it just makes sense. I understand that the stages were cool too, but I would go with this look outside of WrestleMania for sure and send it to heaven because I was just blown away by how good of a fan experience it was sitting in those seats at Money in the Bank.
You are right. It is very logical and beneficial to, pretty much everybody. But Bobby Batista was saying that he would send Pretty Deadly the musical to Wrestling Heaven if it ever happened. So would I, Bobby. So would I. Up next, David, I'm going to you. What are you going to try to send to Wrestling Heaven?
Oh, so I am going to send to Wrestling Heaven something that I think has exceeded the expectations of any international wrestling fan at the moment, especially given back in February, I said it was the wrong call, and I've been proven deeply wrong. I would like to send to Wrestling Heaven, off the back of today's New Japan Dominion show, Hiroki Goto's IWGP World Heavyweight Championship run. Now, when Goto lost the belt to when Goto gained the belt from Zack Sabre Jr. back in February, I was baffled as a Western wrestling fan. I thought Sabre would be their big marketable draw. I was surprised that they decided to put it on to all intents and purposes, an old veteran who'd been around the game for 20 years. And I've been absolutely blown away, not only by the quality of Goto's in-ring work, that he has had some superb matches over the last few months with various people, including, I have heard, a match against Shingo Takagi at Dominion. I haven't seen the match yet. I will be going to do that as soon as this show is done, but I've heard that it's terrific and I'm very excited to see it. But on top of that, and something that I think is so crucial, and the reason specifically I want to put it in Wrestling Heaven, is that New Japan seem to be going through a little bit of a difficulty after their mass exodus in finding people to draw domestic crowds. And from the sounds of all the metrics and optics that I've heard, Hiroki Goto has been a fantastic draw for New Japan domestically. And I think that the key to any good wrestling company is to get loyalty, dedication, and a positive attitude from your own location before expanding worldwide. Now, if you go back to Prime New Japan, they had it all across the world. But recently, I think their stock has waned not just internationally, but domestically as well. And so I think it's been such a crucial run for New Japan to get a solid, dependable world champion in who's been able to have a fantastic final run with the gold. I imagine it'd be their final run with the gold, their first and final. But a veteran doing great work, doing great business, universally beloved by the Japanese crowd. So for me, it may be an out there choice, but I'm going to go with Hiroki Goto as IWGP Heavyweight Champion as a fantastic choice, and that it should be sent to Wrestling Heaven.
I got so worried when you started talking about that, David, because all day today, even to this point now, I still have notifications off for Twitter on my phone because I don't know the results from today's show. I'm trying to avoid it. Well, I don't know the main event. Oh, okay, you don't.
I don't.
Well, there we are then. Thankfully, there was no spoilers in that, but I do agree. And Hiroki Goto, he is somebody who, I mean, for the longest time, it felt like, he was somebody who should have gotten more than he more than what he actually got in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was always, he was one of the top guys, but he was never the top guy. And then he became, kind of an upper mid-card guy, I'd almost say, over there. Now he is finally getting his flowers. And you are right. It has been insanely impressive. But
I
Des,
just gotta say thank you really quickly though for the thorough explanation, David, because it gave me time to do a wardrobe change after I spilled on myself during the camera cut. I just want to personally say thank you for that.
Never a problem. If in doubt, let me talk. I'll go on for Britain.
Des, what about you? What are you going to send to Wrestling Heaven?
I feel like this is really irrelevant given the feud we have going on. What I want to send to heaven is one of my favorite matches, and the match that honestly got me really into wrestling as a kid, and that is Money in the Bank 2011, John Cena versus CM Punk. In my opinion, I think this match might be the greatest match in all of the 2010s. The story of this match is absolutely incredible, and it goes along with blending reality because right now, John Cena wants to leave WWE as the real champion, taking the championship hostage, bringing it home. And now CM Punk is doing what he can, not to defend the billionaires, but defend the company itself, trying to make sure John Cena doesn't do that. In 2011, the roles were reversed because there was real life heat where CM Punk was going to leave the company in 2011, take the WWE Championship, and never come back, going to New Japan or Ring of Honor, while John Cena was in task of making sure that didn't happen. The match itself is just such an amazing watch. I actually watched it last week because I was doing a John Cena CM Punk watch along, watching all their matches. And every time I watch this match, it really is as good as it always is. It ages like fine wine. The wrestling in the match is so good. And the end sequence where CM Punk goes over the barricade, blows the kiss of Vince McMahon, walks off into the crowd of Chicago. This is a match that I feel like has to go all the way in Wrestling Heaven, and it has to be on there for as long as end of time.
It is an absolute hell of a match. You are right. And of course, they're running it back. And I don't think they'll be able to reach that same level of magic nowadays. But that match, Money in the Bank, that crowd, the fact that, to your point, it blurred the lines between what was real and what was not. It was certainly a moment which I will never forget, and my personal favorite CM Punk match of all time. But time to make my decision. I have got my lever for today, and I don't believe I've ever used this before, which is a little bit strange considering it's always in front of me. But I'm going to use my light as the lever, which it might blind me, but that is the chosen lever. At the end of the day, Clark, I think you picked a really, really strong one. The stage thing isn't really something I've thought that much about, but you are right. It saves the company money. More fans can attend the event. And yeah, it's a fantastic view. David, I also loved your shout. Hiroki Goto has had an absolute hell of a championship reign, but at the end of the day, very few things in professional wrestling can top CM Punk versus John Cena, and in my opinion, neither of those do. I am sending John Cena versus CM Punk from 2011 Money in the Bank to Wrestling Heaven. I'm blinding myself in the process. Congratulations, Des, for winning the first round. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. Let's just keep it going.
I gotta call an audible.
Also, I want to shout out Clark and David. They had great points, by the way, as well.
I gotta call an audible for my second subject. Now I gotta strap up. I was gonna do my throwaway one for the next one if I got that first point.
You can't have any throwaway ones, Clark.
It's not a throwaway one.
All
for entertainment's sake, it's not throwaway.
Okay. Right. Up next, we are now going to go in reverse order. Des, you're up first. What do you want to send to Wrestling Hell?
Well, most people have heard that we are potentially going to get Gunther versus Goldberg. So what I want to send to Wrestling Hell is, besides Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 2016 and WrestleMania 33, any Saudi Arabia Goldberg match, I think, has to belong in Hell, right? Because you had the one against Undertaker, which was a dream match in a way, which was considered one of probably the worst wrestling match in the entire 2010s, maybe one of the worst wrestling matches ever. The match was very sloppy. There was no chemistry. There was even Undertaker. I think Goldberg busted his head open, got almost dropped on his head. And then, of course, how can anyone ever forget Goldberg beating The Fiend, killing the idea, basically killing this whole character that WWE made with The Fiend, where he was this supernatural force and everybody loved him. And then Goldberg comes along, beats him, makes absolutely zero sense. If I ever could put this in Wrestling Hell, literally anything that involves Goldberg, that's not versus Brock Lesnar, because those two matches after WrestleMania 20, in my opinion, were really good. But anything else of Goldberg that isn't against Lesnar, it has to belong in Hell.
Wow. A big statement to make there. Anything other than those two matches. But David, you're up next. What do you want to send to Wrestling Hell?
Well, look, it's ironic, really, considering how miserable I always am. I always kind of struggle with what to send to Wrestling Hell because, believe it or not, I do like more things than I don't like. But interestingly, on our fan chat over the last couple of days, one of the things that we've been doing is ranking WrestleManias. I did a massive ranking based on the website Cage Match and listed them all by lowest to highest and put them all up. And it got me thinking back about WrestleManias. And there's a very particular WrestleMania show or part of a WrestleMania show that I would like to send straight to Wrestling Hell because it might be, just might be, the worst card ever put in front of a wrestling crowd. So what I would like to send to Wrestling Hell is the New York portion of WrestleMania 2. Now, this was obviously, for those who don't know, WrestleMania 1, 1985, big success. Vince bets everything on WrestleMania 1, huge celebrity success. He wants to build it up at WrestleMania 2, so what does he do? He puts it in 3 cities. The first of those cities is New York. So this is the card that the New York crowd got at WrestleMania. Match 1, Paul Orndorff versus the Magnificent Morocco. That match ends in 4 minutes by DQ. The match is terrible. The second match that we get is Randy Savage, who, if you remember, at WrestleMania 3 wrestles Ricky Steamboat in one of the greatest matches ever. In a 5-minute comedy defense against George Steele, George the Animal Steele, who spends more time biting the turnbuckles and chasing Savage around like Benny Hill than giving you any actual wrestling. 5 minutes and 10 seconds that goes. Then we get a squash match as Jake Roberts makes his pay-per-view debut and takes out George Wells. That's a quite common enhancement talent at the time. And the main event is Mr. T and Roddy Piper, which goes 10 minutes and is one of the worst matches in wrestling history because it's not a wrestling match. It's two guys who really don't like each other, very badly lumping each other in the head. So a combined 10, 13, 18, 20 minutes of wrestling for the New York crowd, and the rest of the time was spent with them watching shows on television monitors that they would wheel out to the crowd, and the other 2 portions of the show are equally terrible. Maybe slightly less terrible. So what the crowd get, they pay their money, they come and watch 4 matches that barely go over 20 minutes, none of them are any good, and then they get to sit and watch the other 2 terrible portions of WrestleMania 2 on TV screens that you can't really see because they're not big enough for the audience. So yes, the New York portion of WrestleMania 2 is one of the biggest disgraces in wrestling history and should be sent directly to Wrestling Hell.
Wow.
I love the specific too, not the New York portion. And he's so right.
Just the New York. Yeah.
Like, it's the worst part of a Mania ever. Like, it's hard to argue, David. It's hard.
The crowd paid for it. They paid money for that.
It is a disgrace. It's like nowadays, I think, doing the screens, they can make it work with the technology there is. Then it did not work. Like, people couldn't even really see it. They wasted their money. Josh says that was the most David answer ever.
It's true, but it's good.
But I agree. I do agree. Saul wants to send the unified belt in AEW to Wrestling Hell. He absolutely hates that.
I think the unified title looks bloody lovely. I really
like the belt design looks lovely. Yeah, the name, I think, that's the issue.
The name is an issue. If it's a top title, I don't mind. But broadly, they unveiled the title. I was like, iffy name, but I love the design. I think it looks really, really quite beautiful.
Yeah, the design is sick. But I don't agree with Soul. Belt looks awful. Oh, no, what? It looks lovely.
True. I disagree with it.
Looks amazing.
It fits the aesthetic of like all the AEW belts too. I think it looks good.
Yeah, I actually think like it's one of their. I don't think it's as good as the AEW title, but I think it's probably my second favorite in the company.
The AEW title's a really good looking belt, by the way.
That's the thing. It's hard to top that.
It's hard to beat.
Yeah, and everybody disliked it at first when it was not everybody. A lot of people disliked it when it was revealed at first, and now people have grown to absolutely love it.
Only a Sith lives his life in absolutes. Haven't you seen Star Wars?
Oh my god! I think
Couldn't
it was
have
just
been
people
everyone.
didn't see what it looked like on a wrestler, and then once they did, they were like, "Actually, this looks sick in person." But
Soul sounds like the Grinch right now. He's like, I
does.
hate it.
biggest hater. Okay, Kendrick
Interesting.
Lamar.
He's half on Mount Crumpet. I hate it.
90 billion stars in the Tokyo Dome. Says, I like that it has the Rainmaker and the one-winged angel on the side plates. I do as well. That is a
Yeah, it's
really,
cool.
really nice touch. Which
It's my favorite
represents the
username
history.
ever, though. I just call them All Stars
All stars.
every
You can
time.
call them a different reference every time it stars in it. It's fantastic. I love
It's
it.
outstanding.
But David Hall is giving some analysis about Captain America in the chat. I don't. And Captain America being naked as well. What? Anyway, let's now move on. And let's go to you, Clark, because you have just been given a really hard one to compete with by David. But what are you going to try and send to Wrestling Hell?
I've got a wildly specific one, so I'm sticking with it. But I went back and I counted. And over the last 60 days, this has happened to me as many times as Ferris Bueller missed school. 9 times. And it's when non-fans hear you maybe tell them in the context of conversation that you either cover wrestling or you're a wrestling fan, or maybe I'm even just wearing this t-shirt. And the question gets asked whether it's an Uber driver, an aunt at dinner, it could be a friend of a friend just coming over to watch the hockey game, whatever it may be. But their opening question is, what's going on with Hulk Hogan? That needs to go directly to Wrestling Hell. I can't stand it. What is up with this? It's a trend. Everyone does it. What do you mean, what's up with Hulk Hogan? Nothing. He's got a beer. They booed him in LA. No one cares. Nothing is going on with Hulk Hogan. There's way other wrestlers. He hasn't been relevant in wrestling in 20 years. I get in the 80s, you took your vitamins and you said your prayers, but it's over. He's not active now or relevant to the current product almost in any way. We've talked about him once this year. It was him getting booed. And I can't stand the question. So I'm sending it directly to Wrestling Hell. I do apologize to my aunt. She's really sweet. She just doesn't know anything about wrestling.
You basically just did a diss track on your aunt.
It wasn't just her. It was 9 times. 2 Uber drivers.
Aren't you ashamed? Thank you. I'm here all week. Tip your waitress.
I mean, it's every time that's the opening question. So like, what's up with Hulk Hogan right now? I'm like, what do you mean? What the Gawker case? Didn't you see that in like 2013? There's all kinds of stuff going on with him, but none of it involves actual in-ring action.
John says it seems wrestling revolves around Hulk Hogan.
Like the outside world believes he's like, so is Hogan still champ? You're like, what? No.
Would you put it past him? Or would you
if he had the pen?
That doesn't work for me, brother.
You put it past him to at least tell people that he was.
That's true.
He does still tell people.
The reason people are still asking is he's texting every contact he has claiming he's still the WWE champion, probably.
Yeah.
He's probably sitting there like, Cena can't take the title in real wrestling. I already did.
What's going to happen is on December 31st, when John Cena retires, he's going to rip off his skin suit to reveal Hulk Hogan underneath.
It's just like it's like when he did the Mr. America thing.
Oh yeah.
That's like I hate.
Oh my gosh!
You can't see me, brother.
I hate Hulk Hogan, but I do think Mr. America was quite a funny gimmick. I
did too.
I thought it was funny too.
It's a very absurd joke, but it's very well done.
It was funny.
Right, to conclude, Wrestling Hell, 3 ones, right? Wrestling Heaven, I really, really struggled with. Wrestling Hell, it's easy. It really is an easy one for me. And I think part of it, Clark, is that nobody has ever once in my lifetime come up to me and asked what's going on with Hulk Hogan.
It's legitimately been 9 times since Mania Week.
It's not happened once.
It's the craziest thing. It's legit a trend. I'm on the way up to LA Friday for the stand-up show. Uber driver on the way there, opening line after the wrestling thing comes up. Question about Hogan. Uber driver on the way back, middle of the night. I'm half asleep in the back seat. It's like, so what's going on with Hulk Hogan? Like, you must be joking. No.
Secondly, There is Goldberg, other than his Brock Lesnar matches. And honestly, especially, he did a lot of good things in WCW. He did some trash things too, but there was a lot of good, and he was super, super over. So I'm not going to send him either. So David, you are the winner. WrestleMania in New York, WrestleMania 2 in New York. I mean, it was the worst portion of the worst WrestleMania of all time. You can't really get any worse than that. It's pretty much an easy dub. But how are you feeling now? Do you feel you have the confidence to win this entire thing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if in doubt, go to the absolute worst of the worst. I mean, and the best thing, look, I think I get I think I can do that because I've watched it, and I've sat there and I've suffered like they suffered. The only difference is that I only paid $9.99 for the privilege of it. I imagine they probably paid a lot more.
Yeah, you
after
paid
inflation.
$9.99 for a lot more as well. That was just
$9.99.
one little bit you
I
got
paid,
from
I
that
paid, I
$9.99.
paid $9.99 for 3 rubbish parts of a Mania instead of 1 rubbish part of a Mania. So yeah, Killer Bee. I can't remember who's in the rest of the show. Massive Battle Royal, I think. Killer Bees are in there. It's not very good.
Bobby says the Uber driver probably hasn't checked out the new WWE. Yeah, that's
Yeah, no.
exactly
Oh.
what
I had to
think.
explain a ladder match after that too. That was complicated. So can you pin them? I'm like, no, that's a different match. They climb it. They get
But David, I'm going to send it straight back to you. You kick us off for Wrestling Purgatory. What is something which you want to improve in professional wrestling?
So there are a couple of options that I could have gone with here. I am going to go for a WWE pick, though I came close to a New Japan one. The only reason I didn't pick it being it hasn't happened yet. So I won't spoil what that is in case anyone tries to steal it. I will tell you once the picks have been delivered. But my pick for Wrestling Purgatory is something that I think is not being handled as badly as some people are saying it is, but can still have a massive room for improvement. And that is the booking of Karrion Kross in WWE. Now, it's fascinating. I saw something on Twitter the other day that said that it's very weird with Karrion Kross because when nobody wanted to push him, he was on every single week. And now that everybody does want to push him, he's never there. But he is there. Now, I think that there's a lot more they could do with Karrion Kross. Even if they don't see him as a main eventer talent, there's still a lot more they can do with him on television. I think what they're doing in backstage segments in terms of keeping wheels spinning, particularly with Sami Zayn, is really, really fascinating and really, really well done. But I think that in order for that to capitalize onto anything that benefits Cross, he does need to actually be more on television and more in segments in the ring. He cannot just loiter backstage, not doing anything other than a couple of conversations with Sami. But those conversations with Sami are intriguing. So I can't put this into Wrestling Hell because I see the story that they are telling week to week. And I think the story they're telling week to week of slowly turning Sami to the dark side, even if Sami ends up rejecting that offer, those points the Cross are making is really, really good. And so I am still intrigued in the character. I'm still intrigued in the direction that they are taking with it. But I think by not putting him on weekly television, you are stunting the opportunity to strike while the iron is hot. Like I said, you don't have to put him in main event programs. You don't have to have him go for world titles. But there are a lot more things you can do with him in the ring. I think he's a better wrestler than people give him credit for. And I do think that he is a very charismatic and captivating talker. But I fear we risk turning into Bray Wyatt syndrome, where we go on and on and on, and we just focus on character work and behind the scenes, and we never really advance anything, and slowly it just fades and fizzles away, as did a lot of Bray's gimmicks, unfortunately, because they didn't give him the investment that he needed. So for me, Karrion Kross, the booking of Karrion Kross in WWE to Wrestling Purgatory, not good enough now, but can be better.
I love that take. I truly do, because you are right. The backstage segments have been fascinating, but that isn't enough, especially if it's just every single week. You got to do more with it. We got 9 stars, or however many stars it is, saying ladder matches with pins. Sounds like some TNA match.
Yeah, King of the Mountain.
It sounds like, yes, mid 2010s TNA match for sure.
I bet you I'll find it. I mean, they did a match where you had to hang something up. They did a reverse ladder match.
The reverse ladder match was the worst ever. No, the reverse rumble was the worst ever, right?
It's the reverse battle royal, but that's where that you have to get in the ring. which then look, that is a 5-minute topic. I should have done that to Wrestling Hell, but that's for another day. We'll move on.
Honestly, I should have too. I now that I'm thinking about it, like that is one of the worst matches.
That was a missed opportunity. But up next, Clark, it is your go. What are you going to try and improve in Wrestling Purgatory?
So I've got an interesting one. This one's more WWE specific, but I'm sending to Wrestling Purgatory because it can use some improvement, but there are some definite positives, and that is the post-PLE press conferences / post shows. I just would like to see a little bit more continuity. I understand we're going to get the Triple H interview. There's quite a bit of news coming out after this one, right, over the R-Truth situation when it came to that. Not only that, you have Naomi, who's playing a great heel on television. And I do not blame her. I don't mind the outside of kayfabe stuff on the post-show or in the press conference, but she did the press conference in character. Then she went on the post-show and teared up because of the compliment from Big E. I loved the moment. It's a beautiful moment, but I just would like to see a little bit more direction on what the post show looks like, because there some of these moments taking away from the actual PLE itself too. Some are advancing storylines. Of course, you have the, Cena AAing Truth through the table right after the show. Some of them, sometimes it works, right? Jey Uso basically won a world title by having a couple of bevies over in the old bus with Cody and saying eat a bunch. You know what I mean? He kind of won himself a world title in that situation. So there are like a lot of positives that come out of these, but I just would like to see a little bit more consistency and continuity. I don't expect Triple H to be like in character because he's not an on-screen character. So that's going to be outside of kayfabe, but I do prefer when the wrestlers in that scenario stick sort of inside the context of the show itself and their own character.
Fernando agrees 100%. DCX Warlord says Wesley and TNT in Wrestling Purgatory. We got a lovely comment here from David Mard saying this has been his favorite episode of Wrestling Heaven and Hell. Thank you very much. And Clark, that was definitely a good take. But Des, let's see how you respond. What do you want to send to improve in Wrestling Purgatory?
This is actually one that I've actually debated with multiple people about. I even changed people's minds on it. I want to put into Purgatory the idea that WrestleMania 30 is one of the best WrestleManias of all time, because I really disagree. Now, hear me out. WrestleMania 30 for me was one of my favorite WrestleManias growing up as a kid, because it was the second WrestleMania I watched live. I rewatched it, I think it was last year, and I watched the entire event, took all these notes. And I have to be honest with you guys and say it's not a very good show. Daniel Bryan versus Triple H is a fantastic match. I'll give you that, man. It's one of my favorite opening matches of all time. Outside of Brett versus Owen, which I saw multiple times, I'd say that's my favorite opening match in WrestleMania history. That was like number one on the list for such a long time. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, it was a lot of fun. Cesaro lifting up Big Show and throwing him over, that was so cool. What happened afterwards was they didn't capitalize on it. Like, it was a complete waste of time. At that point, they could have just gave it to the Big Show, which is what they did the very next year, because it didn't do anything for Cesaro. He pushed, I think he broke away from the Real Americans. I think it was Zeb Coulter and Swagger. They had that little tag team and he broke away from him, but it did absolutely nothing for his career. Then you had the Shield versus the New Age Outlaws and Corporate Kane. That was a squash match. That match shouldn't have been on the card at all. It just shouldn't have been on there, because maybe the pre-show, to be honest with you, it should have been on the pre-show, but on the main card, absolutely not. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, the story is good. Cena winning, I don't agree with, but the reason why Cena won is because of the whole point of this is his legacy, and there's no way he was going to lose protecting his own legacy. But the scene where Bray Wyatt's he's like this, and he's on his knees saying hit me, John, hit me. That was a really cool story beat and a cool element, because it really played into the fact of Cena, going between, oh man, am I really gonna hit Bray Wyatt and go into the dark side? That was cool. The match itself very slow. The AJ, then they had a Divas match, whatever. It was a battle royal or some sort of multi-woman match. And it was AJ Lee and an invitation. It was really weird. AJ Lee won. I think she had the Black Widow on Naomi. And then Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. I love the Undertaker entrance. The match itself is horrible. the moment itself is shocking, and it shouldn't have even happened because Brock Lesnar shouldn't have been Undertaker. If that was the send away we had for Undertaker, I would have been fine Triple H beating him at WrestleMania because those two matches were so good. The moment itself was great. The match was terrible. And the triple threat match is fantastic. It's really good, which means if you take Daniel Bryan out of that WrestleMania, it's really mid. And to be honest, that was what was going to happen because Orton and Batista was supposed to be the plan.
I like that you dropped the big line at the end there. That was good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do agree in terms of I do think it's slightly overrated, but I think the reason it is overrated is to your point, the Daniel Bryan, the feeling. And ultimately, that was part of the show, but I do agree outside of it, you know, especially compared to the last couple of WrestleManias, I don't think it has been as good. I can't remember for the life of me the point you made, David. Sorry, what was it?
Karrion Kross's booking in WWE.
No, that's it. Karrion Kross's booking. Another really, really good one as well.
Really great job by Quizmaster Ben there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't note down David's, and I was like, oh gosh. But anyway, essentially there were three great ones. But I have been complaining about something for a little while now myself, and I don't know if Clark's seen my tweets or whatever about it. But it's exactly that. These wrestling press conferences, the in and out of kayfabe, it's so confusing. It confuses viewers, especially casual ones. So I think this press conference is almost aimed at times with it being on YouTube and stuff like that too. The Rock's doing one in gimmick, then the next one outside of gimmick. I don't know what is going on here. So you know what? We're going to overtime because that is going to Wrestling Purgatory. Clark, you are the winner. So we're going to overtime, and I've done a random shuffle, and the shuffle has come out on Wrestling Hell. You guys are going to have 30 seconds, and then I'm cutting you off on the word you're on, to try and send something to Wrestling Hell. Now, to decide the order, I can't show it on screen, unfortunately, but I'm doing a spinny wheel. So let's see who it lands on. Bit of an imaginary drum roll, but it has landed on going first, Clark.
I had a feeling about that.
Right, 3, 2,
we just have to believe
1.
you. Okay, 30 seconds. Here we go.
Go.
I am sending to Wrestling Hell announce tables not breaking. I don't care how many logos you put on them. I want all of my announce table spots for the table to break. I don't like it when the table doesn't break. It's an announce desk. I'm not saying gimmick it. It's no good when somebody just stands on it and it collapses. But why are these tables not breaking as often as they used to? Sometimes they do, but oftentimes they don't. So when it doesn't break, I'm sending the announce table not breaking directly to Wrestling Hell. I think I got that inside 30.
You actually did 28 seconds. You actually had 2 seconds to spare there.
I got a nice little mental clock.
It is crazy with all the technology we have nowadays that nobody's actually developed tables which can break upon a hard impact compared to, you know, just somebody standing
like a
on
breakaway type thing, right? Like it should be more logical.
It's $1 million idea for wrestling companies.
Because the other thing is, half the time we're clearing off the table. If there was something you could do to sort of like a lever, maybe even like a commentator that was smart could pull to like.
I thought something in the back even, where like you get rid of a lock in the back.
Yeah, like somebody just sort of flips a thing and then suddenly it's gimmick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, maybe I've never been an inventor, but man, I'm starting to think about it.
Maybe that's a way.
I know when Eagle Scout, I got to call him.
You got to get some inventors involved. Up next, David, you are up. You have 30 seconds starting. That glitched. You have 30 seconds starting right now. Oh, it's glitched again. Okay, we'll restart it. Don't worry.
Dude. I did.
That's not me. That's not me.
Right. Okay, now 30 seconds starting now.
Okay, I would like to send to Wrestling Hell the commentary of Jerry Lawler during any women's match during his run. And I include right up to sort of mid-2010s when he was phased out of commentary because he ruined the perception of women's wrestling, even among wrestlers that are really, really good. I point to WrestleMania 20, in which Molly Holly has a fantastic, really good wrestling match. And it doesn't matter because all Jerry Lawler is talking about is what her color her underwear is. Jerry actively made everything worse. He turned everything into an over-sexualization, even when WWE were doing that themselves. It was a fundamental failure, and wrestling took years to recover from it. Jerry Lawler in commentary on any women's match during his run as a commentator.
Fair
That
enough.
got me so
I
good. I'm
mean,
glad I was muted because I laughed so hard when you said, "Oh, I could just hear in my head like puppies." Like as soon as you said it, like it's
Oh,
awful.
boy.
it
It's
was
awful.
awful.
Like,
And
I was like, oh no.
it's honestly horrific. David Marge agrees on that
Oh,
one.
it's just terrible.
And Roundhead says, so true. If anybody played WWE 2K14, he had loads of pervy
How
lines.
did they record
Oh.
those for like the coded video game commentary too? That's the
That's so
craziest part
bad.
because it's spot on.
Because it was
That's
part of Jerry
so-
Lawler's. It was part of Lawler's appeal. That's
You could
part
lo-
of why they kept bringing him back, and to the point where it hit the point where it was like, okay, now even is too like Jerry.
Wait.
Even when WWE turned on Jerry, it was like and went, come on now, because he just never learned. It was horrible when he did it in his prime. It was even worse when he did it in the years coming past, and it became like it makes me it's wretched.
It is bad.
Think about like Roundhead's comment. They're like, you could have the greatest video game match ever in women's history in 2K14. And you're gonna get Lawler calling it like it's the worst of the worst Divas era match.
That
It's
is
absurd.
actually the worst part of it. I didn't even know about the game. That is awful.
It's so bad.
Des, you are up. What are you going to be sending to wrestling hell?
I'm going to go back in time for this one. I'm going to say 2000 WCW. I rewatched a lot of 2000 WCW, Bash at the Beach. I think New Blood Rising. It genuinely is like some of the worst television I've ever seen. Genuinely, one of the people actually paid money to see that show. They had, I think it was Judy on a forklift. Genuinely, anything Vince Russo that he did 2000 WCW, it belongs in wrestling hell. Genuinely is just a joke.
Another great one. I mean, you three have made really good points for this sudden death round. Very difficult indeed. But this is a tough one. But I'm going to get my lever, my light. I'm going to blind myself one last time today. And I am going to send to wrestling hell Jerry Lawler and his comments. David, you did not win the quiz a couple of weeks ago, but you have got your revenge today because you have won Wrestling Heaven and Hell. How are you feeling?
I mean, I wish I didn't have to win it on Jerry Lawler, but I'll take. I'll take the victory, and may I never have to hear his pervy comments again. Very well played. I thought I'd been beaten on WCW 2000. Because I thought you'd gone for the worst. It's wretched. It's so
it is
poor.
bad. I mean,
But,
all three are bad, to be honest with you.
They are all terrible. But yeah,
I'm
very
actually
well.
going to be honest with you, right? I mean, maybe this is going to create some controversy, but Roundhead actually gave you a major assist here too.
He
With this
really did.
2K14 thing. Well, I didn't know that, and that made it like worse. I was thinking to myself, maybe it's a Vince thing, and obviously, to an extent, it would have been a Vince thing, but. If he, on his own, off his own accord, went onto a video game studio and just started still doing the lines, and the video game were like, okay, sure, then that just is clearly he enjoys doing it.
Can you imagine that studio session? He's just in there and they're like having him repeat ridiculously pervy lines. Like it's just
That's
It's
crazy.
awful.
Because it was what came naturally to Jerry. Unfortunately, from watching his commentary, that was what he was trained to do. That's what his brain went to. Jerry Lawler is one of the greatest wrestling talkers of all time.
Yes.
I will never suggest otherwise. But his attitude towards women, whether it was Vince McMahon's man telling him to do that, it permeated and it caused major damage.
Yeah.
Major damage.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, his commentary, I love a lot of what he did. And I also love the fact he used to draw on when he was on
think it's very
commentary
cool.
too. That was a cool thing. But I do agree with you when it comes to his attitude towards women's wrestling. He had to change things, and he refused to. But DCX Warlord makes a good point on Dez's point. Anything Vince Russo related goes to
the
wrestling.
Roundhead comment. It's made me laugh so hard because it's so true. I was the same age, and it's just like, what's going on
He
here?
was always talking about bikinis and oil in the game, and I was like 6, and I was
Oh,
confused.
So confused.
Jerry.
Same.
Just on the WCW point, if you haven't gone back and watched WCW in the year 2000, don't.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's not even fun in a let's watch a company burn way.
No.
It's just
Some of
bad.
it is.
Some
Some
of
of
it
it
is
is
quite
some of it is funny. And what it is though,
Vampiro Sting is the craziest thing. Like
if you want if you're approaching it from a historical mind and from a historian mind, fascinating. There's a great book. I can't remember. I think there's a fantastic book on it. Go and search it up. But it's a great book that tracks week to week the ratings decline of WCW. That's a great tool. But yeah, it is atrocious television.
It's awful.
It's good TV, bro. Trust me, bro. It's good,
But
bro.
that
Weirdest was
does
because-
bring us.
Oh, go ahead.
Stupid,
Sorry.
bro.
That does bring us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Des, thank you to Clark, and thank you to today's winner, David Sheldon, for joining us. And thank you to everybody playing along in the comments. We always really appreciate you guys. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow to answer your questions for Mailbag Monday. See you guys then. Ba, 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 ba.